I guess for me, I realize this is a distinctly minority opinion. I'm just trying to keep myself alive as a writer and bring along some fellow travelers. But for me, I want work that makes me feel less lonely, that builds a bridge across the abyss of human loneliness. And for me, what distinguishes us isn't really what happens. To me, plot mechanism is a form of sort of carnival barking. It doesn't really seem to me to tell me that much about the human condition. Whereas if you talk to me about how life comes to you, I find that a considerably more riveting experience. That could be in a work published as a quasi-novel, like V.S. Naipaul's Away in the World, J.M. Coetzee's Elizabeth Costello, Camus' The Fall, but they're works which are essentially overtly meditating on what we're doing on planet Earth, rather than, to me, patronizing the reader by endlessly holding his or her hand, by trying to entertain them with a kind of series of narrative tricks. That's just simply, I find, less riveting as an existential experience. I would say they're a major contribution to the problem, in my view. I mean, I'm a product of them. I went to one, I teach in one, and I try to push back against sort of workshop-itis. But I think they're a major contributor to it in the sense that, for understandable reasons, that by the very nature of the moment you say a workshop, you're talking about craft. There's a huge push in creative writing workshops to teach toward a kind of lapidary craft, toward writing kind of Flannery O'Connor, Jacobian, kind of well-made, crafted work that, as opposed to something that's trying to break the bounds, because you can teach it. I mean, you teach, you know, like an exquisitely made short story by, say, I don't know, I'm trying, you know, by Flannery O'Connor, that it all simply works as this perfect jewel box, and there's a temptation to sort of teach that, and there's a huge number of writers who have grown up from these programs who are skillful craftsmen, but who are producing work by imitation rather than pushing the art form forward. So I think they're really a big contributor to death by craftsmanship. Most of the works that I really love are either sort of anti-novels, or they're works of what I would call literary nonfiction, or lyric essay, or poetic nonfiction. So a lot of the works which I find most exciting are either anti-novelistic novels like David Marks and J.M. Coetzee, people like that, or their works of literary nonfiction. So, but I think your point is well taken. I think, what would I say is this argument against, I think on some level human character doesn't change, but on some, like there's a wonderful line by Virginia Woolf where she said, on or around 1910, human character changed. You know, that life, that I do think the way that we think has changed because of digital culture. I think that's unmistakable. That I think obviously things like love and hatred and joy and revenge are still part of the human animal, but the ways in which we think about them have changed. Our consciousness has been altered by electronic and digital and media culture. And for me, I want us, speaking of which, yes, I want us to get, that was a special plant I put in there. But in any case, your point is well taken. I want to get to all those things, but I think because consciousness has altered, in my view, the way that we think, that sort of leisurely pace. I'm just trying to watch my own nerve endings. I literally cannot read those glacially paced books. So I'm trying to say, what works can I still read and write? If you don't, I mean, most people don't agree with me. You know, everyone on the plane is reading, you know, Twilight, and they're reading,
Patterson.
You know, they're reading big, baggy novels. Most people want that, but I, a relatively small minority, find those books no longer speak to my consciousness, and therefore I'm trying to develop an ars poetica for books that do that. There are probably very real limits to my aesthetic, but I need to stay alive as a writer and reader and teacher, and these are the books that I can read. You know, as John Updike said, you know, you finally write the books that you can write, and that's all I'm trying to do.